What happens if you stop paying rent in the state of California? How to deal with a 3-day notice to vacate, uh, writ of possession, summons, evictions, sheriffs, and what to do to avoid it. My name is Alexei. Thank you for watching. I've been a real estate broker for many years. I have tons of experience. Please subscribe to the channel if you're interested in information like this. Normally, due date of your rent is listed on the lease. It's usually the 1st of the month. Sometimes it is the 5th of the month or the 15th of the month. Most leases do not have a grace period. Some do. A 3-day grace period is quite common. What does it mean? It means that usually if your rent is due on the 1st, it is late on the 2nd. If there is a grace period, then the payment is late the day after that grace period. What happens next? Say your rent is $3,000 a month and you didn't pay it on time. The landlord will give you a piece of paper called 3-day notice. 3-day notice will list your rent amount, your name, all the address, make sure that's correct, and the form of payment they will accept. It is very important to read that notice carefully for mistakes, if any, and for compliance. If you have the funds, if you find the funds and you want to make amends, make it right, you would follow the instructions and pay the landlord the amount necessary. Normally, it doesn't include any late fees at this point. What happens if you don't? For example, they give you a 3-day notice to vacate, and then by the 15th, 2 weeks later, you find the money. The landlord only has to accept your funds within that 3-day period. After the 3 days expire, they no longer have to accept your funds. If you come up with the money and come to the landlord and say, hey landlord, here's the money, they don't have to accept it anymore. They have already started the eviction process. So it's very crucial to maintain those deadlines and follow the instructions. And even if you pay the funds, but you don't follow the instructions, they ask you, you have to bring a money order and you send a personal check. That's not good enough. You have to do as the notice requires. What happens next? If you ignore the notice or you don't follow the instructions, then you will get what's called a service. Somebody will come knocking on your door and give you a piece of paper saying, hey, you've been called to court, unlawful detainer action has been filed against you, and you have to reply. If you don't reply within the time frame prescribed on the notice, the landlord will enter what's called a default judgment. It means you lost without appearing in court. So if you want to extend that agony of staying in the unit, you will come to court and plead your case. People think that in states like California, although what I'm saying actually applies to any state really, timelines might be different, but procedure, generally speaking, is exactly the same regardless of the state you're in. People think, hey, I'll come to court and say, well, I don't have money to pay because something happened, like an emergency, medical emergency and whatnot. And the judge will listen and forgive me. It's not how it works. If you go to court and you tell the judge, hey, judge, I don't pay because something, the judge will say, well, you have to pay because that's a lease you signed. And unless you can prove that the landlord did something wrong, like didn't fix something that was supposed to be fixed, it's an entirely different story that's behind the scope of this conversation. Generally speaking, this applies to cases where you have to pay, you did not pay, and everything is fine with the property and with the landlord. So in these cases, the judge will tell you, I don't care what happened, you have to follow the rules, you have to pay. So we'll give you a certain amount of time, maybe 30 days to get out. And those 30 days are not free. You have to pay at the court to the secretary the amount of the lease for the 30 days. Then that amount gets forwarded to your landlord. What happens next? Next, one day, the sheriff will come. They will usually knock on the door the day before the unlawful detainer takes place and say, hey, you know what, you lost the court, whether you lost it by default or you went there to plead your case. We have to get you out. please pack your stuff and leave. Ideally, you would want to be gone by then, but if you're not, they will come in, they'll draw pistols, they'll be with, heavy gear, they will knock on your door at 7 a.m., they will serve you a notice, and stay at the property until you're out of the unit, and nothing will stop it, nothing will prevent them from completing the eviction. If you change the locks, they'll open the door, they'll have the landlord's representative present to change the locks as needed, and that's it. So they'll make sure you leave. Landlord changes the locks. If you have the furniture inside, they'll have to give you access, reasonable access to collect that furniture, and that's it. You're out, you don't have a place to stay anymore, but that's not the end of your case. Assuming you didn't pay your first rent and the evictions took place and you probably said, since they're kicking me out anyway, I'll just start saving the money and will not be paying rent anymore. Now you have 2-3 months worth of rent that you didn't pay. So at $3,000 a month, now you owe $9,000 plus the eviction cost. It all adds up, and say you owe them $10,000. Depending on the jurisdiction, they will go to one court or another, but they can hire a lawyer and go after the deficiency. They can say, you owe us $10,000. They'll go to court, they will file the paperwork, and they can take the funds out of your salary to cover that debt. Say, for example, you owe $10,000, and the judge can say, well, I will allow $1,000 a month be taken from the salary and go towards the debt. And that's it. They'll find your bank account, they'll find your employer, and they'll force $1,000 a month to go towards that debt. And that's it. You can't do anything about it. You can't stop it. You will pay the debt regardless of your situation. But that's not even the end of your trouble. Because they had to file an unlawful detainer action, and because you had a debt, your credit history will reflect the debt, and your eviction history for the next 7 years will show that you had this eviction take place, and every other landlord on every other property you'll be applying for will know, well, assuming that they make this check, they will know about the eviction that took place. Do you want this on your record? Probably not. Do you want to go through this trouble and through collection and then end up paying the entire amount of money anyway? No, you don't. What can you do to avoid it? If you missed your payment, if the 3-day notice is served, you have to follow the rules, and you have to go talk to your landlord and say, hey landlord, I don't have the money. A medical emergency took place. Please help me. What can I do to get out of the lease? If it's a larger landlord, they will certainly have guidelines. For example, you would pay a fine of 2 months of rent, $5,000, $6,000. Or they can say, you owe us for the entire term of the lease, but you can sublease it. If, for example, market rent decreased and you used to rent your place for $3,000 a month, now you can only sublease it for $2,500. It means you owe that extra $500 for the remainder of the lease. If you have 12 months left to go, that's 12 times 5,000. It is still better than having an eviction record, than having collections and going through court. So talk to your landlord, find an arrangement, try to sublease the place, and that will help you avoid all those issues. Even more important than that, do not overleverage yourself. If you're new to the area, if you look for a place to stay, don't rent something that you can't afford. I can't tell you how important it is. I know, I've been in your shoes. I know that you go looking for properties, you go house hunting and nothing is available, or only terrible places that are between a 7-Eleven and the highway are on the market, and you want something nice, but it will cost you, 50% of your take-home pay. Try to move further out. Don't stay in Palo Alto, stay in Gilroy. An extra hour of commute, you'll listen to a nice audiobook, but you will not put yourself into a position where your rent is too high for you to afford. Thank you for watching. Please be safe, follow the rules, subscribe to the channel. My name is Alexey. I hope this video helped you.